So when you mentioned this Hot Enough for You, this story I'm about to tell came to mind straight away. It involves alcohol, so that's always a fun time. So basically, one of the places that I worked at had really fun staff parties that like people just really got into it. And there was this one staff party that ended up falling on like a Wednesday night. And so I remember when the schedule came out, everyone was like, okay, we have to get the Thursday off. And I had the Thursday off. So I was like, sweet. But for some goddamn reason, I decided to pick up a shift the next day because like at the last minute, I went, oh, no, like, I'm not going to drink. Like, I've already had, like, I've had my time. Like, I'm just going to chill out. I'll turn up, but just be there for a little bit. So we all know where this story's going. So it's the day of the party, and like I had all my stuff with me at work, and then I like get ready at work, and then I head to this party, and I get there. And so this day, I didn't eat that much this day. Like I maybe just had a coffee and a granola bar. So I learned a really good lesson that you eat before you drink. And so I get there and I start just drinking champagne straight off the bat because I love champagne. And I had 4 glasses and it already went straight to my head. So I'm already tipsy and I'm already like, yes, like party vibes. And then collectively over at this party, I maybe had 4 bottles of champagne with like nothing in my stomach. So it's like, I'm very drunk at this point. Throughout the whole party, I was like, going into the photo booths and like photo bombing. And I was like taking photos of people. I was like on the dance floor. Like it was hectic. And there were photos that surfaced the next day, which were tame, of me just like in all these photos. But I have no recollection of like taking them or being with these people. Like I didn't even know who half these people were. So that was fun. So then the party ends, and I'm super drunk at this point, and this is a good time for responsible Sarah to go home because she has work the next morning. But then I decide to keep going. And so everyone decides to after party at this pub, like down the road. And then I get there, and like we're all having cider and like shots. And I remember my friend distinctly like pulling out his credit card, and he was like, yeah, it's going to be an open bar for everyone. And he like puts it down at the bar. And I remember following up with him a few days later, and he lost like maybe $500 that night because like just everyone abused it. So that's happening. I'm having more shots, Jaeger bombs, tequila, whatever. At this point, I don't even know what's going on. And then I decide, I don't know if anyone's seen the film What Happens in Vegas, but there is a scene where Cameron Diaz like gets on top of the bar and she like slides across it and the whole crowd is like, woo, like it's so iconic. So I think in my mind, because I think I'm like so cool that that's what I'm going to do, or at least get on top of the bar and I guess dance or something. So then I try to like, I remember getting on top, like trying to climb up, and then I fall like literally behind the bar, like where the staff are and where all the alcohol is. Thank God I didn't crash into any of like the drinks because that just would have been terrible. But I remember like falling, and then I remember security being like yelling and being like, "You need to get out of here," like and like pulling me up, and I'm like, I don't even I'm like, oh okay, and then my friends are like pulling me, and they're like, okay, we're gonna get out of here, we're gonna get out of here, and then I just remember walking out of the bar, and then like that's literally the last thing I remember. So I black out at this point and I have no recollection. I should walk out the bar. And I don't know if anyone has ever blacked out before. It's not fun, especially the next morning. Right? No, no. Responsible people don't black out. So then it's the next morning. I have work today. And I don't know how, but I managed to just wake up. And I remember looking at my phone and it was like an hour till I started my shift. And I look at my phone, I'm like, and the first thing I go is, oh my God, work. I'm like, okay. But then I'm like, wait a second, I'm not at home. So I know. And I'm like, this is not my bed. I was like, I don't know where I am. And I remember getting up and I like opened the window and I'm like, okay, I'm in the city. That's good. Not far from work. And then I look around, there's like cushions thrown everywhere. There's like my stuff's like in the corner, like all nicely like laid out. And then I kind of like looked in the bed and I was like, was someone else sleeping in there? Like it looks like someone was. Like, what is going on? And I remember just going to the shower and just standing in there for 10 minutes or what felt like years and just being like, what is going on? What just happened? Like, did I sleep with someone? No, I wouldn't have done that. Like, my friends would have, what, like, okay. So then I like grab my stuff just casually and then I walk out into like the lobby and I'm like, I guess I'm checking out of this room, like thinking, do I have to pay for this? Like, what is happening? And the lady's like, oh yeah, like it's been checked out. You're all good. It's been paid for. And I'm like, okay. And then I leave and I like walking to work and I remember like going to grab a coffee and like breakfast and I couldn't eat it because I was still kind of drunk at this point. Like I hadn't hit the hangover me yet. And I was like, I couldn't drink the coffee, I couldn't eat the croissant. And then I get to work and my manager's there and she's like smiling at me. And she's like, oh, like, how was your night? And I'm like, I don't know. What happened? I was like, I just came from a hotel. Like, I don't know what's going on. Like, help me. And she was at the party and like was with me for most of the night. And then she's just like, oh, like, you don't know. And I was like, no, I just remembered falling behind the bar and then being kicked out by a security guard, and that's it. So then she tells me that apparently after that, they all like took me out, and I was just like I wanted to keep going and keep partying. And then so they decided that they would check me into a hotel because I lived like really far away from the city and transit obviously wasn't working. I don't think I even would have made it home on transit, to be honest. But yeah, so my manager had actually stayed with me that night because we were really close at the time, just to make sure that I was okay. I was very intoxicated. And yeah, and then she like just stayed with that whole night and paid for the room, and then I paid her back later. But like the relief, because like when you black out, it's so scary when you're like, I can't remember anything that happened and I don't know what I did, to then being like, okay, I'm like embarrassing, but I'm fine. Like nothing happened to me. Like I'm okay. And then I had to work for 8 hours that day. And like, I don't know if anyone, like, it's one thing to go to work hungover. Like that sucks. But to go to work when you're still kind of drunk and then you have the hangover thing happen, like it's not good. And then I remember going to the bathroom and wanting like obviously to throw up. And then I remember throwing up and being like, oh my God, there's a sharp pain in my back. Like, what's that all about? And then I go to look in the mirror and I just had this massive bruise down my back. And that took like weeks to heal. Like it was painful. Yeah. And then I had to like go home, and I think in the night I managed to text my parents that I was okay and I was like staying at a friend's place. And then they ended up picking me up from the station and they're like, how was the party? And I remember just being like, yeah, like it was really tame. It was chill. It's fine. So yeah. And I said to myself I wouldn't drink again, but that didn't happen. I still drink, so it's fine.